Bracketology presented by Dave Campbell's Texas Football, breaking down the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoff brackets. I'm Greg Tepper, that's Ishmael Johnson. To 5A Division II we go. Ish, it's been the most unpredictable classification as far as the rankings are concerned. It's been up and down. And a lot of this, I feel like a lot of this game, like the bracket really depends on, like, it's a litmus test for how you feel about like 5 teams.
Sure.
And how you feel about that is going to shape your opinion of how this thing breaks down.
Honestly, yeah, because maybe at the beginning of the year, obviously, look at the cover of our magazine, right? We had South Oak Cliff on there. They've had some issues, right? Figuring out quarterback. It's not easy to replace Kevin Henry Jennings, right? And so they haven't been as strong, right? They come out of a pretty easy district, so like it's hard to judge what they've kind of become the latter half of the season. Argyle, we had some questions, quote-unquote questions, about moving up, right, to 5AD2. They look fine, right? But it's not exactly a cakewalk for them. I'm really, as a whole, I'm like, I don't know. I sent in my projections to you over the weekend, and I'm like, sure.
I basically just didn't feel great about pretty much any of them, which can make this a lot of fun. Let's go to Region 1. Up here in Region 1, we mentioned Argyle, the #1 team in the state, 10-0. They deserve their flowers. Give them their flowers. What I appreciate about them is that the teams that struggle moving up from 4A to 5A tend to struggle in the trenches. They do not. They're very good up front. And that is going to be important for them because I also think they got put in the tough side of the region.
I was about to say, Wichita Falls, Ryder, Grapevine, Lake Dallas, like those are the other teams you would probably pencil in as the favorite in this region behind Argyle. And they're all on the same side. Of course, they beat Grapevine earlier in the year, and Lake Dallas, I believe, as well. They beat Grapevine earlier in the year, but that game also, Grapevine drove the ball. They missed some field goals late as they were driving, so it wasn't exactly probably as lopsided as the scoreboard made it seem. I think if Grapevine gets past Lake Dallas, I think they could give Argyle a good game right here, but I don't know, right? I probably still pencil in Argyle as the favorite right now.
Keep it on Ryder, too. A team that when the playoffs roll around, remember, they've won this region, like, a lot in recent times. You go up here to the top half, and this feels wide open. I mean, it would not be a surprise to see first-year varsity program Frisco Emerson in the regional final. And what Kendall Miller's doing there is really, really impressive. Abilene Wiley, the district champs out of District 2, they play that hard-nosed, grinding defense. That'll be hard to deal with. And probably the best team, at least in the 5A ranks, out of El Paso, Canutillo, is going to have something to say about it.
I was about to say, at this point, anybody who makes it out of here, right, you're getting a one-off against a heavy favorite, but it's a one-off, right? And so despite the brand names, despite the favorites may not being in this side of the region, you're battling it out, and you're going to be probably tested by the time you get to a regional final, and who knows what happens at that point.
Absolutely. Let's go to Region 2. Down here in Region 2, this is, all eyes are going to be on South Oak Cliff, and this is one of those litmus tests. What do you think of South Oak Cliff? They're non-district scheduled. They lost to Lancaster, who's really good. They lost to Duncanville, who's really good. They lost to DeSoto, who's really good. And then they beat the #1 private school team in the state, handed them their only loss of the year, Parish Episcopal. We have not seen them play a team in their weight class since then. They will need to stand on the gas early. Summit is no pushover. They'll probably, this Lovejoy White House first round matchup is tasty, tasty, tasty. This is a tough side, and then potentially seeing a team like Midlothian Heritage. When you take a look at the defending state champs, they will have to earn it every single week.
Yeah, I mentioned the quarterback position because we've seen 3 players roughly throughout the whole season step behind center for them. So again, it's hard to replace somebody like Kevin Henry Jennings. We knew that would be the missing piece this year potentially if they stumble. That still hasn't really been solved. So what happens when you have to make your way through this tough part of the region? You want to look down here as well. I think the power is kind of up here, but still you have interesting teams like Melissa, right? Another team that moved up this year. Texas High is another one. Everman, right? Shout out Matt Stepp. Everman as well. This is an interesting region because it's similar. It's kind of a flip of what we saw in Region 1 where the power nexus is on top. And at this point, whoever comes out of this bottom, it's kind of a one-off, and at this point you're trying to just see who you can beat in one game.
I think you're spot on. Melissa's dangerous. I think Ennis is dangerous. I think they've gotten their wheels back on, and of course Sam Harrell knows playoff success like pretty much anybody, better than anybody. And then down here, you're right. Texas High, they took a weird loss to White House earlier in the year, or was it White House or somebody? They took a weird loss late in the year, which really cost them, but they still win the district championship. Everman has 2 losses by a combined 2 points. Okay, they are a dangerous, dangerous team. So down here is really interesting. I think all eyes are going to be on the defending state champs and how things progress from there. Over to Region 3 we go. Region 3, I think you take a look at Fort Bend Marshall as a favorite. However, if you take a look up and down, there's plenty of teams that if you say, yeah, if they put together their best football, they're capable of beating anybody in this region.
I was about to say, Leander Rouse is a team that we had high expectations for. They've kind of been up and down, right? I know Mason Shore missed a couple games for them. They're a talented quarterback. LBJ is kind of in a similar bucket as South Oak Cliff, where they haven't played a team in their weight class roughly a month, right? How do you prepare for even a team like Elgin, who's going to be the best team they've played in a month and a half, right? I don't think Elgin's necessarily a state contender, but they're going to give LBJ a game right out the back. I'd probably have Fort Bend Marshall just based off recent success, right? Just based off legacy, based off talent on the field. I'd probably have them penciled in just because despite there being a bunch of names, I can point at a lot of teams and say I have a lot of questions about them. Comparatively, I have fewer questions about Fort Bend Marshall.
A couple other teams I like. I like Port Neches Groves down here. I think that they have really kind of settled in, and I think that what they've been able to build there, especially offensively, is impressive. Montgomery Lake Creek, undefeated. Yep. Keep an eye on them. I know they're a program that you maybe never heard of because they're so new, but that is a team that is very dangerous. Kent Lasser's done an unbelievable job with Waco University. They're into the playoffs, and Belton has their first outright district championship since 1998, so they are feeling it as well. But I think that, Marshall, LBJ, depending on if they're ready to kind of stand on the gas, Montgomery Lake Creek, there's plenty of contenders here in Region 3. Down to Region 4, of course, this is where Liberty Hill lives. Where are they? Up here, Liberty Hill. And they have got, in my opinion, a pretty clear path, at least to a regional semifinal, where they may see either one of these teams, Alamo Heights and Gregory Portland. That's a hellacious second-round matchup potentially.
I was about to say, I was trying to look at the next team behind Liberty Hill in terms of favorites. I'd probably say Alamo Heights right now, but we'll see how this plays out in area, basically, if both these teams take care of business, them and Gregory Portland. Of course, you can move down as well. Flower Bluff is probably the favorite to come out of this region, honestly,
I don't see anybody here. I think the favorite of the bottom half of this region. I think that this is a wide open region, right? Maybe a team like Sharyland gets hot, right? Maybe San Antonio Veterans Memorial is a team that can put it together. But Flower Bluff looks like the known commodity down here, as opposed to up here where Liberty Hill. Look, I think that they're the favorite up here, but like this regional semifinal against either one of these teams will be tough, and then potentially against Flower Bluff, they'll have to earn it the rest of the way. And we've had questions about what they look like compared to last year with rule changes, things like that. It's interesting. So when we take a look at 5A Division 2 as a whole, this is, again, there's so many different questions that still need to be answered that we didn't get answers in the regular season, and we're going to find them out. The challenge is we may find out the answer too late, like when it matters the most.
Sure, I was about to say, I'm not saying this is going to happen, right? But like Mansfield Summit upsets South Oak Cliff because they can't find out the quarterback, and the defense maybe has one or two leaks in it, and all of a sudden they
lose a 14-10 game.
Right, exactly. Same thing happens to LBJ, where either Elgin or Port Neches Groves, all of a sudden they're out by the third round. It's like, oh, there goes a state champion and a state finalist, right? Gone. Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting scenarios potentially with 582.
We will have you covered every step of the way at TexasFootball.com.